I'm Heather Reimer, president and founder of Each One Tell One. So as long as I can remember, I was told when I'm 40 I should get a mammogram. And so obviously at 40 I listened to those directions and worked with my doctor and went and had my mammogram. I was told everything was great. They did tell me I had dense breast tissue, but really didn't say much about what that meant. Fast forward about 8 months, and to complete some points on my workplace wellness program, I had an opportunity to use a new piece of technology in our community called a whole breast ultrasound for dense breast tissue. They determined that I had triple negative, which is a very aggressive, fast-growing breast cancer, and invasive ductal carcinoma at about 1.8 centimeters in my left breast that still could not be seen on my mammogram. When my cancer was discovered, I was very surprised, especially considering that I felt like I did everything I had been told I should do to take care of myself, to finding breast cancer early, as well as preventing even maybe a cancer from occurring, just taking care of my overall wellness. I ended up having very aggressive treatment for my very aggressive breast cancer. I had a full radical modified mastectomy, which means they take everything out under your arm and down to your chest wall. And with the diagnosis of triple negative, there's really only one option of having really aggressive dose-dense chemo. I lost 35 pounds, all my hair, could barely get to work when I got up in the morning, and it was tough. All of 2012 I spent really being treated and healing, and it was about the middle of 2013 that I got a phone call from a good friend of mine. She called me one day, and it was August, and she said, I have breast cancer. And I said, well, please tell me your story. She said, I'm not really sure what happened. I went in for a mammogram in April, was all clear, and then she felt a lump. Went in to check her lump. She ended up having 3 tumors, all over 2 centimeters, which in a cancer world, that's big. Anything over 2 centimeters, and having 3 of those in one breast is a big miss, in my opinion. So I said, did you have dense tissue? And she said, I do have extremely dense tissue. And I hung up the phone, and quite honestly, even through all of my diagnosis and treatment, this was the first time I got really, really angry, because I started realizing that women are only hearing part of the story. So I hung up the phone, started talking to my husband. I said, every woman needs to know this. Every woman should understand what kind of breast tissue type they have. And from there, we decided to launch a grassroots message just really out on social media called Each One Tell One. And that really is, can each person tell another person my story, my friend's story, tell them what they need to know, because they're not hearing it from their doctor. They're not hearing it from when they go in for their mammogram. So we're being told to have a mammogram. The mammogram is the standard of care, and then you're good. And the reality is, what I learned was 50% of women, the mammogram probably isn't going to be the best and only option. So when you get a mammogram, your radiologist will categorize your breast tissue. And with that, there's 4 categories. They can sometimes be listed as A, B, C, and D. You'll see photos where, as the categories get further down the line, there's white matter. That is the dense tissue. When you are getting a mammogram, your cancer is showing up white, the same as your dense tissue, and that's where it gets hidden. The first 2 categories are considered more fatty breast tissue. Those 2 categories, currently, the messaging is that a mammogram is probably the right fit, to just have a mammogram for screening. Again, you should talk to your doctor about that and make sure you're both understanding your breast health. With category C and D, we really recommend having an additional screening of an ultrasound, a whole breast ultrasound, or an MRI. Again, we really encourage you to speak to your doctor. So our official mission for Each One Tell One is raising dense breast tissue awareness for early detection of breast cancer. What we recognize is there's no cure for preventing breast cancer, but the key is to find it small. The smaller you find it, the higher survivor rate you have, and the likelihood of not having to have aggressive treatment. Our movement is so important because, again, I don't believe the whole story is being told. And the whole story is that we're all different. We all have different breast tissue, and we have to treat those types differently. Can you imagine a world where all breast cancer is found at such a small stage that it's so minimally invasive to remove it, and there's not radiation, and there's not chemo, and there's not people going through this, coming out the other side being depressed or torn apart or financially harmed by this disease? There's so many pieces to learning about your health, your breast health, taking care of yourself, that then just furthers the movement so that women don't have to deal with this anymore.